Ancient Egyptians believed that their kings were descended from the sun god Ra. They believed that they could communicate with the gods through their king known as a pharaoh. Today, we will be talking about one of the famous pharaoh, Tut. Located in the northeastern corner of Africa. It is a mysterious home to tourist attractions and archaeological researchers, surrounded by secrets, and who knows what we may discover next. Well, Egypt also has a very interesting culture. The Egyptian religion had over 2,000 gods, though only a few of these were predominant. Egyptians saw animals as incarnations of the gods and were one of the first civilizations to keep household pets. Egyptians were particularly fond of cats, which were associated with the goddess Bastet. They believed in a life after death. They referred to this as the next world and thought it was somewhere to the west. They developed elaborate burials and embalming to preserve the body for the second life. Goods and servants were buried with royalty and nobles to serve them. Egyptian men and women also wore makeup. It was thought to have healing powers. Nearly 5,000 years ago, outside the ancient city of Memphis, Egyptians built pyramids as tombs for their kings. These monuments are still standing today in the city of Giza.
King Tutankhamun was the 13th pharaoh of the 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom. Tutankhamun was a teenager of approximately 19 years of age when he died. His name was Tutankhaten, which later he changed to Tutankhamun, meaning the image of Amun. It was believed that Tutankhamun became the king at the age of 9. Many refer to him as the boy king or child king. Majority of his reign was devoted to restoring Egyptian culture, including religious and political policies. His predecessor and father Akhenaten had altered many Egyptian cultures during his reign. One of Tutankhamun's many restoration policies included changing the political capital from Akhenaten's Amarna to Thebes. Tutankhamun's mummy was discovered by Howard Carter and his team on 28 October 1925.
Carter discovered the tomb of King Tut, which had been present in the Valley of Kings for several centuries and was considered one of the greatest archaeological achievements in history. Carter, along with Lord Carnarvon, who funded him, had searched the valley and found the tomb, which was opened after a long time. In Egypt, the pharaohs were sealed in tombs with precious artifacts, gold, and rare stones. It was said that the curses of the mummies were present to sometimes protect the tombs from thieves. But when the tomb was opened in 1922, it was said that it had unleashed a terrible curse on those who disturbed the pharaoh who had been long dead. It said, "Cursed be those who disturb the rest of the pharaoh." The world was shocked when Lord Carnarvon died of an infection 6 months after. The press then started recording the demise of any person related in any way to the excavation, and they found 21 victims. Some who x-rayed the mummy died mysteriously and others due to poisoning. A radiologist who led the autopsy collapsed and died of an unknown cause. But scientists suggested that it was due to some natural phenomena, like spores or fungi, to which they were exposed. They said that when the tomb was opened, the breeze could have thrown them into the air, which was then breathed by the victims.
For years, the ancient Egyptians worshipped many gods and goddesses who they thought helped them in everyday life. The Egyptians believed that on the death of a pharaoh, the sun god Amon-Ra would strengthen the rays of sun to enable the king to ascend. Mummification is a 70-day process of converting a pharaoh to a mummy. The priest wears the mask of Anubis, the god of embalming, death, and magic, to start the process of mummification. The body is washed with palm wine and Nile water. Left side of the pharaoh's body is cut and all the organs are removed except the heart, as it is essential for afterlife. A hook is pushed up the nostrils to smash the brain and pull it through. The body is then covered with natron to dry it out, and after 40 days it is washed with Nile water and oil and then stuffed with linen and leaves. The next 15 days are utilized in wrapping the body in layers of linen and placing it in the coffin with amulets and charms, so it protects the pharaoh from the evil spirits in the afterlife. Their journey to the afterlife was indeed a complex task. Egyptians believed that a person was made up of two spirits, the Ka and the Ba. At death, the spirits were released from their body and could reunite once the tomb was shut. The most important part for entering the afterlife was the heart test. Anubis stood on the gates of afterlife and waited to weigh the person's heart against the feather of truth. And if the heart was lighter than the feather, they could enter afterlife. A pharaoh for Egyptians was more than just a king. They believed that a pharaoh is a living god amongst them.
Although Tutankhamun might have played a minor role during his reign, he has become one of the most famous pharaohs because of his tomb, which was kept intact for more than 3,000 years. The discovery of his tomb in 1922 turned him from a minor king to one of the most famous names in Egyptian history. Around 5,400 artifacts were found in Tutankhamun's tomb, and these artifacts have traveled around the world over the years. But now these treasures will be permanently housed in the Grand Egyptian Museum in Cairo, which is expected to open this year. Tutankhamun's tomb may have been found, but there are still many facts about him that are yet to be discovered. Egypt is surrounded by all sorts of mysteries, and yet so many to be discovered. No one knows what we might discover next, and yet the saga continues.